In this Reliability training video, I'm going to show you the difference between a recurring invoice and an installment invoice. I'm going to do that by doing a side-by-side comparison by actually creating an installment invoice and a recurring invoice. The company on your left is a lawn and landscape company. The company on your right is a technology company. The lawn and landscape company just completed a large project for a customer, and even though they'd like to be paid all at once, they've agreed to get paid in monthly payments. This is the textbook definition of an installment plan. So they're going to create an installment invoice. The technology company also just completed a large project for a customer. They just built a website, and now they're going to bill the customer on a monthly basis for web hosting. They're going to create a recurring billing invoice. Much like single invoices and also estimates, installment invoices and recurring invoices all start in the same place. Start by selecting a customer. Immediately, you should recognize a key difference. Creating an installment invoice is a 3-step process, whereas creating a recurring invoice is 2-step. Let's start with the installment invoice. The first thing we need to know is the total balance. How much does the customer owe? In this example, we'll assume the landscape project was a $5,000 project, and in this case, the customer has agreed to pay a fee in order to pay in 12 installments, with a $1,000 upfront payment. The system will then calculate the amount of every monthly payment. The next step is very similar between installment payments and recurring payments. In this section, we'll identify when and how frequently invoices are going to be created and sent to the customer. In the case of the lawn and landscape company, I want my first payment to be due on the 1st of March. I'd like it to be created 14 days early. It'll recur on a monthly basis. And yes, I do want the invoices sent to the customer on their create date. Let's keep things similar for the technology company. Let's have that first invoice due on the 1st of March. We'll create them 14 days before each due date. They'll repeat monthly. Now here's the first difference. With this recurring invoice, we have to identify how many invoices are going to be created. We already did that earlier with the installment because we identified how many payments the total balance would be broken into. Since we didn't have a balance with the recurring invoices, here's where we define how many payments. If you leave it blank, there is no end date. Invoices and payments will continue until the customer terminates, which is most common in recurring invoicing. So we'll leave this field blank. I do want customers to be notified when an invoice is created. And here's another difference between recurring and installment invoices. With recurring invoices, invoices are going to be created as service is rendered. What we don't know each month if there are any additional billables. That's why we give you the option with recurring invoices to delay the sending of invoices. That gives you the option to add any additional billable services. Next, we want to identify the invoice detail. Here, you'll actually define the service for which the customer is being billed. This is important because this is what's actually going to show up on the customer's invoice when they receive it. In the case of the landscape invoices, we'll enter the description here. Here you can select from products or service that you've previously created or enter a unique product, service, and description for this particular project. Same for the tech company. They may have already created a product description for hosting services, in which case they can select it here. If not, create a new one. Now in the case of the lawn and landscape company, we previously identified exactly how much the customer was going to be billed each month, so we don't need to enter it here. However, in the case of the tech company, here's where we define the amount for each recurring invoice. Add as many items as you want, add discounts. When you're done, simply hit Save Recurring. You are now on autopilot. Recurring invoices will be created and sent to the customer automatically according to the terms as defined in the recurring profile. In case of installments, however, we're given the opportunity to preview the invoices. The preview window will show each one of the invoices, the invoice date, the date due. If changes need to be made, you can edit those here, but if all looks good, click the Generate Invoices button. So as you can see, in the case of the installment invoice, all the invoices have already been generated. There's a reason for this. This gives the customer the opportunity with every invoice they receive, they can view any remaining invoices as well as a total balance. Whereas in the case of recurring invoices, there really is no total balance. Invoices are being generated on a month-to-month basis as service is being rendered. In both examples, invoices will be generated on a regular basis per the terms in the recurring profile. They'll be sent to the customer, once again, per terms in the recurring profile. And if the customer is enrolled in autopay, payments will be made automatically as well. We hope this video has been helpful. If you have any questions at all, please contact us at support@reliabilis.com. Thank you.